One of the most intriguing and compelling stories of the modern age, 50 years on, the Watergate scandal, which would bring down the President of the United States of America, continues to be a story that grips people who hear it. And now, with a fresh retelling of that story, we have Gaslit.
Mitchell.
I've had some disturbing news, sir. Operation Watergate. Security guards busted wide open.
The next 48 hours are gonna be crucial.
I don't know how to put this. We're wondering about your wife.
Y'all gonna just stand around or you wanna ask me some questions?
Hey there, Tim from Screen OD here. I hope you are doing well and having a good day. Hopefully we can make your day even better, especially if you're looking for something good to watch on TV tonight. Well, with Gaslit, we've certainly got that. And we've got some big stars as well in Julia Roberts and Sean Penn in this new, fresh retelling of the Watergate story. Just before we get going, if you like TV and movies, would you like to subscribe to the channel? Well, you could do. And if you do, you'll get all the best content direct to your feed. And if you like this video, as always, why don't you just like the video, and then more people will get to see it across the net, which is good news for everyone involved. Right, okay, what's this Gaslit thing all about then? Now, the word gate is massively overused in the modern age when it comes to scandal. It doesn't matter how big or small the scandal is, within seconds of something happening, the word gate will be put on the end of it to signify that it's a scandal. And that scandal will be quite small. For example, you might trip over a shoe in the hallway, twist your ankle, and you'd call that shoegate. You get where I'm coming from. Well, there was a time before all that, 50 years ago, no one put the word gate after anything when it happened. That's because Watergate hadn't happened yet. But Watergate is the theme of this new show. For those who may not be familiar with what the Watergate scandal was, it took place in the early 1970s in the United States, and it would eventually lead to the downfall of the president at that time, Richard Nixon. It centered on what went on at the Democrat National Headquarters at the Watergate building in 1972 when there's a break-in. This is something that the Richard Nixon administration continued to deny that they had any involvement in, but eventually it would be shown that they had. This would lead to Richard Nixon's resignation and a huge political moment in America and across the world. Now, 50 years on, you would expect that this story has been told before, and of course it has in both television and film, perhaps most notably in the 1976 film All the President's Men, which stars Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman as Woodward and Bernstein, the Washington Post journalists who exposed this scandal. Now, Gaslit looks at things from a slightly different perspective and takes a story that people know and gives it a fresh take, which really gets you intrigued and interested from the very beginning. We joined the story just a few months before that infamous Watergate break-in happens, and we're introduced to many of those who will operate within the president's circle. However, what makes this one different is that we are also introduced to Martha Mitchell, who's played by Julia Roberts, who is the wife of the Attorney General, played by Sean Penn, and she will be a real star in this series and make it stand out from other Watergate tales that have been told before. Now, in the early stages, Martha is seen as a massive asset to John Mitchell and to the Republicans. She's seen as someone that the campaign want to be on TV and on the radio. She's known as the mouth of the South. She's someone who is everywhere, and she is a real character. Now, this is something that is delivered with absolute aplomb by Julia Roberts. However, everything isn't going to stay as good as this as the story develops. However, as the plot thickens, the things that people might think are an asset at the beginning in Martha start to become a liability, because you don't want someone talking a lot in public when there are things going on behind closed doors that you want to be kept secret. And that's where the story really starts to unfold. And that's where we see Julia Roberts' exceptional performance as Martha really come into its own, because she's not all about just the glitz and glamour at the beginning of the show. We start to see the vulnerabilities, and then we start to see the treatment of her, which becomes quite unpleasant quite quickly.
You can just keep your mouth shut, we'll be fine.
If the American people knew half of what I do, they wouldn't have much to approve of.
The loudmouth bitch wife of his is becoming too much of a liability.
And this is the story of that first whistleblower in a scandal that would eventually bring down a president. Someone who the establishment tried to silence, that her husband tries to silence. And we see in Roberts' performance, we see the character start to go through all those stages from going from hero to zero, starting to crumble. And that's why this is such an interesting story and such an interesting take. Now, we also see the other people who are working in the administration at the time and key figures around this scandal as it plays out. It's an 8-part drama, so it can't all be Julia Roberts as Martha on screen the whole time. Although when you do see her on screen, you perhaps wish it could be, because she absolutely lights it up with her performance. It's worth noting that Sean Penn, who plays her husband, the Attorney General, is incredibly good as well. It's sometimes hard to recognize him with all of the makeup and prosthetics that he's wearing, but he is there and very much a presence on the screen, especially as the screw starts to turn. We start to see a lot go on, not only in the professional, but in the personal relationships that he has. With 50 years and thousands of hours of footage and tens of thousands, if not millions of column inches dedicated to this subject, it could be that this is just another Watergate story. But because of the way that the story's been approached with a fresh take, looking at it through the lens of someone that we don't know as much about, this makes Watergate into a new and fresh story. And this is a familiar thing in a different packaging. And I think that's why you're going to enjoy Gaslit. Gaslit is available to watch right now on Starz Play. If you're in the UK, you can watch Starz Play with a free trial on Amazon channels. Just click on the link below in the description and you can go and try it out for yourself. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the review and hopefully you enjoy the show. If you do, or even if you don't, why not leave in the comments below what you thought of Gaslit. Okay, that's all we've got time for now. If you like the video and go check out the other Screen OD videos. We'll see you again very soon.